Yeah, so this is the home of the white tigers. You actually, if you go through Rob's archives on his Facebook page or his YouTube page, you'll see video of when then they were cubs.
Yep.
You were out here when they were just running around my backyard.
Yep.
But yeah, Malay and Tanju.
Malay and Tanju.
Right here
Where
is
are
Malay means older, and Tanju means younger brother. They are
right
twins.
over here.
So we kind of named them.
Usually, if John gets closer, he'll come right over to him.
Yeah.
You won't believe how big these cats are.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just incredible.
So again, education-wise, we teach a lot about genetics and recessive genes and why the color variants are there. But we also we give people an accurate history of the white tiger because a lot of people just have they just buy what the activists throw at them with that they're all inbred, they're all non-viable for conservation because their bloodlines are messed up and they don't really exist. A lot of people even try to convince you that they are man-made, which they're not. However, they were only found in India naturally in the Bengal population. But now we know that there are no subspecies. The tigers are all the same. What we see in the differences in the different countries is the same thing that you see in race. So it's just breeding populations that have been separated that look different, the same reason that people do. So we refer to the subspecies now as types, which is basically the same as race based on geography. So in captivity, there's no difference in any of the tigers. In fact, you find a lot of the color variants in other types of tigers now as well because of the breeding that has been done. But I do want to point out that a lot of genetic studies have been done. You can look up Brian Davis in A&M University, who's been cataloging the big cats for, especially the tigers, for several years. If you want to get an accurate account of the genetics of the captive tiger population, look him up. But the fact is, the captive population of tigers is more diverse than the wild population at this point. So realistically, it's the problem that we have is with the wild population. It's not with the fact that we have so many. The fact that we have so many in captivity is probably what's going to save the tigers in the long run. So if you're talking about genetic diversity being what makes them more viable for conservation, then the captive tiger is more viable for conservation because it's more diverse. So I'll put it that way. At this point, there are a lot of color variations. You can look up the work of Joseph Marcan in northern Florida. He's got a lot of different colorations. There's several facilities across the country. A lot of work was done with Siegfried and Roy as well. But make no mistake about it, these are not mongrels and they're not non-viable. They're very genetically sound tigers that could end up being the saving grace. However, I would like to also say that the problem has not been solved in the wild. The population is not increasing. It's actually it's basically in a stalemate. It hasn't changed in the past decade or two. In fact, the other big cats, other than the tiger, are still decreasing in numbers. So realistically, we need to stop talking about where they belong and start talking about whether we want them to exist, because that's reality. Existence over extinction is basically the bottom line. That's where our hearts are for existence over extinction. I wish that we could put them all back in the wild and believe that they would all survive. But the current state of the world, it's not going to happen. We got a lot of work to do before that's even possible. So until then, we just have to make sure that we keep a good, healthy population in captivity. So I'm trying to approach this with a view of science. I want to give everybody a different perspective. I'm very careful to say this, and I want people to understand. I am not advocating captive wildlife. I'm just saying that we are being misled as to what is actually going on in the private sector. And I want people to understand there's a lot of important work going on, and don't be fooled by the agendas that are being put in front of you. So it's not about me advocating, it's not about me defending, it's about reality. The reality is science says these are more diverse than the wild populations. Science says that if things don't change in the wild, they're not going to exist. Science says we have a future if we keep a good, healthy population here. So,
amen.
I'm done preaching about that.